I've just spent the last 3 months shooting sports videos for one of Canada's professional basketball teams. So here are 5 things that I think you need to know when starting your sports videography journey. I have always kind of been fascinated by the world of sports videography, just creating like these really cool and thought out edits for sports. And the thing that got me a little more into it as of recently was an Instagram account called Trying to Do Right. I'm sure absolutely everyone has seen the one video that he's posted. I mean, he makes incredible content. If you guys are into basketball videos, you need to watch his stuff because I mean, I think that it is some of the most creative work that's being done right now. So in finding his content and in kind of starting this journey into sports video and basketball, because I've always been a huge basketball fan, I thought, how can I start to shoot this kind of stuff in my city, in Calgary, Alberta? So I'm sure not many of you have heard about the CEBL, the Canadian Elite Basketball League. And I mean, I may be wrong, and it would make me so happy if I was wrong and if a lot of people really knew about it. Just recently, and I mean, as recently as 1 or 2 summers ago, I don't remember the exact time, but my city of Calgary just recently got their own team in the Calgary Surge, and it's a super exciting thing for me because I thought, hey, for the first time in my life, it's feasible. I have a professional sports team in my city. And I mean, obviously the Calgary Flames NHL team have been here forever, but I've never been a huge hockey guy, and so the fact that a professional basketball team was now coming to the city, I was ecstatic. So in talking about my story of kind of how I got into this, it brings us to our first point, which is just reach out. When you're starting out a career, you need to start somewhere, and everybody starts somewhere. And I think that's something that a lot of people are scared about. You know, they don't think that these big teams and these leagues are like, oh, they'll never look at the little guy. You know, they're so high up. Why would they even care about me? I've never shot anything before. They started at like a really base level position like you're trying to get to. So they understand the grind. And if you have other work to show them, it doesn't even have to be related. Like going into this, I had never shot a basketball video before, but if you have something to prove your work, to prove that you are worth taking a chance on, they'll see that and they'll recognize that. But in saying that, if you have no experience, chances are nobody's gonna pay you. I didn't get paid to shoot any of these videos this summer for the Calgary Surge because I had never done this before. So I had just reached out and said like, hey, let me show you what I'm able to do. Let me show you the skills that I have. Like, give me a pass to the game and I'll just show up, I'll do my thing, I'll send you the results after and just see if I'm someone that you would be willing to take a chance on later. I kind of did the opposite of what a lot of people start to do. I shot big right at the start. But honestly, I don't think I would have done it any other way. You know, I don't think that you should be afraid to shoot big. Go for the top level that you have available to you just to see, right? Worst thing you can do, you send them a DM, you send them an email, they get back to you and say, no, sorry, you don't have the experience. No, sorry, we're not hiring. No, sorry, it's a closed event. Okay, that's fine. You didn't die. Like, your life isn't in danger. They just said no. That's okay. You just got to start somewhere. Reach out to whatever you have available to you, but you're never going to get a career if you don't reach out first. Tip number 2, and this is something that I really wish that I would have listened to myself in doing, is don't stress out over the equipment that you have available to you. A lot of people think that, you know, if you have the better camera, if you have the better equipment, you're gonna make the better videos. And that is not always the case. I went into this with a Canon 90D, which is not a super cheap camera, but it's also not a cinema camera, if you know what I mean. Everything else that I was shooting with at those Surge games all had their FX3s, their FX6s, you know, their Sony A7S. Like, they all had these really expensive and like loaded out cameras. Like, most people had monitors. Some guys had a focus puller, like a focus pulling wheel. You don't have to have all those things to make a good video. Of course, the quality of the image does make a difference. Like if I compare my shots to some of the shots that the other guys were shooting there, obviously there's a noticeable dip in quality because the highest that my camera can record is 1080, whereas other people, you know, they're shooting in 4K. But really, at the end of the day, I think it more so comes down to talent over tools. The camera isn't gonna make you a talented videographer, but a talented videographer can make art out of a lesser camera. Tools are called tools for a reason. They are a tool to help you get to where you're trying to get to. If you give an Alexa Mini to someone that has never really shot any sports video before, chances are the video is going to look the same as if they shot it on their phone. You need a certain level of talent in order to operate the tools effectively. And so if you have that talent and if you have the drive to make really good videos, comfortable with the tools that you have, which leads into my next point, which is practice before you go to the shoot. I unfortunately did not do this the first time that I was using my stuff, and I thought if I'm gonna make really good sports content, I need a gimbal. So for my birthday, I decided that I was gonna treat myself to buying a DJI R3. I believe that's what it is. Now, this would be great. You know, I'm sure it would really help my videos. I'm sure my videos would really improve and, you know, you'd see a noticeable difference if I knew how to use it. I decided that I was only gonna practice with it maybe once or twice before going to my first game. And so I get to my first game and it won't balance correctly. And the shots aren't smooth at all. It looks almost the same as if I was handheld. Halfway, not even halfway, a quarter of the way through the game, I said, nope, I'm putting it back in my bag. I'm just gonna shoot handheld because I didn't know how to use it. And so I wasted all this money. I wouldn't say I wasted it because eventually I'm gonna figure out how to use it and I'm sure it's gonna be a really great tool. I spent all this money on a piece of equipment that I thought was really gonna help me out and was really gonna bring my videos to that next level. And it ended up just hindering my process for an entire quarter of the game. And so that whole first quarter was basically unusable. So if you practice with the equipment that you have, and if you practice in just shooting and just knowing how to use your camera, it's gonna make you so much more effective when you're actually shooting. You're gonna have a lot more fun if you know how to use the things that you have. Number 4 is variety when shooting. You really need a good variety of shots when you're shooting a game. In my personal opinion, a good variety of shots is what separates a really good edit from a really boring one. If after the game you get to the editing process and you start putting clips in your timeline and you realize that most of them are all kind of from the same angle and all kind of with the same movement, it's just gonna look like you're playing the same shot over and over and over and over, and chances are people are only gonna watch your edit for about 10 seconds and then just swipe on to the next thing. But if you have shots from the baseline, from the sidelines, from up in the bleachers, if you have really zoomed in shots, if you have really wide shots, if you have really smooth movements, and then some really handheld shaky movements, that juxtaposition of different angles and like the different perspectives are really gonna keep people intrigued in your edit, because then you have no idea what shot's coming next. And number 5, the very last point that I have is efficiency. The game happens fast, so you gotta be faster, especially in a game as fast as basketball, where really the only time you have to breathe and to think is in timeouts. You gotta make sure that you're being as efficient as possible. What I mean by being efficient is just making sure that you have to move the least amount possible. So plan out where you want to be ahead of the game. As a rule of thumb, I always wanted to be on the sidelines for the first quarter so that I could get the anthem shots, I could get shots of the players' faces, and I could move super freely. I wanted to be up on the top bleachers for the entire second quarter, because then the game's not super tense yet, and so you have time to get a lot more of those slow cinematic pace shots. And then for the fourth quarter, I always needed to be on the baseline so that when that person gets the winning shot and when the celebrations ensue afterwards, you're right there, right at the basket, and you can get up and you can follow the players onto the court if you're allowed to, but you can get right up close with the action and there are no spectators that are separating you from the players. That also means just keeping everything on you. I always carried a fanny pack with me that had my spare batteries, my mic if I wanted to use the mic, it had my top handle if I wanted to use that. Anything that I needed was right on me so that in the middle of a play, I didn't go, oh crap, my battery's about to die. I have to run all the way to the room where we store our equipment and then all the way back and potentially miss a bunch of the game. And lastly is just make sure that your settings and your camera is prepped before the game. I always showed up an hour early before the game even started to get some really nice warm-up shots, but also just so that I had the time to set the white balance, set the ISO, make sure that my cards were formatted, like make sure that my camera as a whole was ready to go so that as soon as that game started, I could press record and I wouldn't have to worry about changing anything. So that's it. Those are the 5 tips, and I hope that they were kind of well explained and that they didn't kind of all sound the same. If there is one biggest takeaway that you can take from this entire video though, it's please don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of any aspect of this. Don't be afraid to reach out. Everybody starts somewhere. Don't be afraid to get up close and get those really nice shots. Don't be afraid to use the full arena. Use everything that you have available to you. Because if you don't take that chance and if you just kind of stay in one spot where you know you're comfortable, you're not going to get the full experience. I was super fortunate that the Calgary Surge let me come to as many games as I wanted in the whole season, and so I got the opportunity to experiment on certain games, and if I really didn't feel like being super out there on one game, I was okay with that because I knew I had another game next week. But if you only have one shot, if you're only allowed to come to one game, please just don't be scared to get up in there and just get everything that you want to get. So let me know if you guys want more of an in-depth kind of day in the life almost style of going through the entire process actually at the game, because I can definitely provide something like that for you. Leave a comment if there are any other teams that you want me to reach out to and work with, or if there is a different sport that you want to see me try, let me know. Please don't forget to check out the Instagram and TikTok accounts that I have for the channel. I post a bunch of different content on there. It's a little bit more of kind of a personal look into some of the like on the day kind of stuff when I'm shooting. And I mean, lastly, thank you guys so much for the support that you've been showing. The last video, I really wasn't expecting it to do super well just because I had been gone for 3 months and I didn't know if anybody was really sticking around, but I mean the overwhelming support of just the comments that I received and just the views and the likes, like I'm so appreciative of everything that you guys are giving me, and so thank you so much. I've got another music video that I'm shooting tonight, so if you guys want another music video breakdown just like that last video that I did, let me know, because I'm shooting a video tonight, and so I can definitely do a breakdown. I'm super pumped for it. But thank you guys once again so much, and I'll see you in the next one.